14 multiple choice questions out of 60 is almost what you would get if you straight guessed. There are 5 responses, 5 choices to each multiple choice questions on this exam. So you could guess and get a 12 if you just randomly guessed. But pretty much if you know your FRQs and have your FRQs down, you will, and if you can get perfect scores on those, you'll get the highest score. Similarly, and this is different on this test than the history test. The history exams, if you write your essays and get perfect essays, you will get that 5, no matter how badly you do on the multiple choice. But on this exam, if you can do really well on the multiple choice, if you get more than 40 on the multiple choice, you could almost not answer the FRQs. As long as you have 1s or 2s in the FRQs, you'll also get a 5. And so there are 2 different ways to beat this test. And one is to do really well on the multiple choice, and the other is to do really well on the FRQs. And so we're going to work on both of those. The key to doing well on the multiple choice is going to be to know all the vocabulary. And this is a very, very vocabulary intensive subject. It's got a lot of jargon, and I've got a list of vocabulary that I'm going to give you today that I'm going to want you to study. And the way to get a high score on all the FRQs is to know all the different models. And there are about 12 different geographic models that you're going to have to learn, that have graphs and maps that go with them that explain why people live in certain ways in certain places and how they move. And they're all theories. And if you can explain the theory and apply it to a place in the world, then you'll get the 7 points on the FRQs. It's a little bit more difficult, but it's not essay writing. It's more about being able to put a graph together, be able to explain a map, and write bulleted facts. One of the things that they say to do first on this is to learn regions of the world. And I'm going to tell you, remember to look at United States maps as examples for everything that you study, because not every question is going to be about the United States, but there are going to be about 10 multiple choice questions that are based on United States maps. And there's going to be at least one FRQ where there's going to be examples from the United States that are very pertinent to it. And that's because most of the people that take this test are in the United States. And that's because the College Board who designs this test wants to give people from the United States an advantage. So know that. But no Latin America, no Africa, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, East Asia, Europe, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Australasia. And as I talk about the 7 different units, when you look at any unit, be able to describe what agriculture is like in West Africa, or what agriculture is like in East Asia, what agriculture is like in Eastern Europe as opposed to Western Europe. What is the industrial character of Japan versus the industrial character of South Asia or India? And because being able to put a region with a theory, with an example that's specific to that region, is going to be what gets you the maximum points on your FRQs. A similar map is a dot distribution map. And a dot distribution map places a dot for every unit of something being measured. So on this one, it says 1 dot equals 100 indigenous people. And so it shows you the population of indigenous people. And you look, you see, oh, there aren't many dots here. in the middle of the desert of South Wales. Go figure. But there are lots of dots here along the southwestern coast of Australia. Again, go figure. Lots of people live here in the nice living areas. A graduated symbol map has symbols, and I've been looking at a lot of these this year because the COVID maps are all graduated symbols, where number of COVID cases, real big in America, real small over here in China, because they managed to lock it down quick. And the dot would represent, the size of the dot represents a number that's over here on the scale. And you can see the scale right. I don't know if you can see it. This is urban populations, number of people living in city, 10 million, 100 million, 500 million. And so you can see where the biggest cities are, China, India, Japan, Indonesia, Europe. America has some big cities. Brazil has some big cities. Cardograms are the most difficult ones to look at. And this is where they take countries and they blow the countries up so that the size represents the value of whatever they're saying. So here we are, the amount of organic agriculture, the amount of farmland designed, dedicated for organic crops. And Canada looks very, very small because there's not a lot of organic farming in Canada. Go figure. A lot of the big part of Canada is Arctic and it's not very farmable. Argentina is very big because there's lots of farmland in Argentina. Chile has almost disappeared. Australia, huge because of all the organic farming there. Central Europe becomes very, very large because of a lot of farming, organic farming there. Africa, mostly plantation farming, not organic farming, much smaller. Russia, almost no organic farmland. Again, like Canada, has a lot of cold iceland. This is called a cartogram. Bivariate choropleth map is one that has two different color schemes that are measuring two different things. So you get a whole range of colors. Here we're talking about levels of education and levels of income, how much money people are making. And so you can have high education, high income. You can have high education, low income. You can have high income, low education, and everything in between. And then you look at the map and say, oh, where are the people that have the most education? Where are the people that have the highest incomes? Where are the people that have the least of both? Where does it coincide where people have both high income and high education? So you can look at two different factors, two different sets of data, and how they're spatially related and how they're correlated to each other. And so this is a alpha map, which is a different kind of bivariate chloroform map where they have transparency, and so places disappear and just gives another color effect. But again, reading the scale, talking about reading the legend, talking about RGB variables and alpha variables, in population density of Minnesota, and most people live right here. And so this, and I'll give you this link as well, shows you how to read different kinds of maps that aren't projections. there is a projection of some sort underlaid under the map, but the information that's encoded on the map is not designed to look like the Earth. It's designed to give you some other data about it. So, oh, I can tell that this is supposed to be Australia. So I can compare that to my knowledge of the Earth's surface. But what I'm really supposed to see is the large amounts of agriculture here.